special meeting of our Board of Regents. I wish I could be there in person, but I'm at a meeting in Washington, D.C. I'd like to call our meeting to order with a quick roll call, noting that Regent White is unable to join us due to her military service. Regent Acker.
Present.
Regent Bean.
Here.
Regent Bernstein.
Present.
Regent Brown.
Here.
Regent Hubbard.
Here.
Regent Illich.
Here.
Regent Weiser. Thank you. We've come together for the purpose of adopting the University of Michigan's principles on diversity of thought and freedom of expression. We've been engaged in this effort for many months, and I'd like to thank all of you who have contributed to our deliberation, especially Tim Lynch, who has served an absolutely essential role in bringing this statement to fruition. No matter the tumult over the issues of the day, it is vital that we remain fully committed to freedom of speech and diversity of thought as a university. Open inquiry and spirited debate are critical for promoting discovery and creativity, for creating and advancing knowledge, and for preparing our students to be informed and actively engaged in our democracy. At this time of great division, it is more important than ever that we come together in a shared commitment to pluralism, to mutual respect, and to freedom of speech and diversity of thought at this great public university. For our next steps, I have asked Tim to convene a committee of our staff, students, and faculty charged with providing guidance on the following: whether our university is living up to these principles, actions the university can take to bring us closer to the aspirations embodied in these principles, and whether the university should adopt some form of the University of Chicago's Calvin principles, which establish a heavy presumption against the university expressing opinions on the political and social issues of the day. So Tim, thank you again for leading this effort. Would you care to say a few words? And after you've done, I know that Provost Macaulay would also like to speak. Tim?
Thank you so much, President Ono. The values reflected in the principles are particularly important during times of great social and political conflict like those we are confronting now as a society and as a university. The principles expand upon our long-standing free expression policy, which was adopted in 1988 and remains in effect. The university is now articulating where it wants our community to be, and a decision by the board to adopt the principles would be a tremendously important step. The principles would simply not exist without the expertise, commitment, and extraordinarily hard work of our faculty. It began with a meeting of President Ono with the law school faculty, where the president was asked whether the university should consider adopting the Chicago Statement on Free Speech. After that meeting, President Ono charged me with working with a faculty committee to create a statement of our own, one that reflects the values and aspirations we hold dear at the University of Michigan. Our committee worked on various drafts all summer, and our discussions quickly coalesced on important themes and issues. Our discussions also reflected differing perspectives that made the final product that much better. I offer my deep gratitude to Professors Michelle Adams, Christina Dalgertis, Don Herzog, and two other faculty members who are here with us today, Professors Gabe Mendlow and Chandra Sripada. Would you please join me in acknowledging their great work? I also want to offer my deep gratitude to members of the SACUA General Council Advisory Committee, who shared their strongly held opinions and recommendations on whether the university should adopt a renewed statement on free expression, and on the issues any such statement should seek to tackle. I appreciate those full and frank discussions, which made a significant impact. I'm grateful to the many members of the faculty all across the university who offered their comments, critiques, and suggestions on various drafts of the principles, including the chair of SACUA, Tom Braun, whose comments and support were instrumental. I know Tom's here. Would you please join me in thanking Tom as well? The principles before the board today also benefited tremendously from the many detailed and thoughtful comments we received from faculty, staff, students, and alums on an earlier draft through the online portal set up last October. We read those comments very carefully, and the draft today reflects many of the points we received. The draft also reflects very helpful input from the Foundation for Individual Rights and Expression. I'm grateful to FIRE for taking the time to review our policy and offer their advice and recommendations. I'm grateful to all my colleagues on the executive leadership team for reviewing and critiquing the many drafts, for the diversity of thought they brought to these discussions, and for their wisdom and good counsel. I'm also grateful to the deans and other academic leaders for their engagement and excellent advice. I'm deeply grateful to President Ono for being a champion of these principles and the values they reflect. They are his values. From his first meeting with the law school faculty that began this process, to his insightful questions and comments throughout, and to his decision to bring this forward today, the principles are here for consideration today by the board because of his beliefs and his actions. Thank you, Santa.
Thank you
Finally,
very much, Tim, for the.
I have one more set of thank yous. Sorry. Finally, I'm grateful to the members of the Board of Regents for fully embracing the importance of adopting these principles as the governing board for the University of Michigan under Article 8, Section 5 of the Michigan Constitution. I'm deeply grateful for all the many significant contributions each and every board member made to improve this document and to ensure that it reflects their values and their voices. I'd particularly like to thank Regent Mark Bernstein for making this an even more powerful statement and for his leadership role in moving these principles forward. Thank you, Mark. And so now I'd like to turn it over to my colleague, Provost Lori McCauley.
Thank you,
Tim,
Vice.
before we, Lori, for 1 minute, I just want to acknowledge, I understand that Regent Ron Weiser has joined us. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Welcome, Ron.
Thank
Over to
you.
you, Lori.
Okay, thank you, Vice President Lynch. Thank you, President Ono, Regents, colleagues. The right to debate and explore the full spectrum of ideas must be vigorously preserved and defended. That right is the cornerstone to free inquiry, and in particular is the soul of academia. The University of Michigan is committed to creating a diverse, pluralistic environment where people of any background from anywhere in the world can come to study ideas, learn about a broad array of knowledge, philosophies, theories, and worldviews, and develop expertise. No matter the discipline, our students and faculty must be free to engage with the entire gamut of ideas. Our university is an environment that explores the wide-ranging concerns of humanity and the equally broad variety of scholarly approaches to understanding those concerns. Our faculty have spoken clearly. A solemn commitment to free expression, free inquiry, and academic freedom is crucial to deliver on our mission. As the society around the University of Michigan evolves, the university evolves to meet each era's challenges. One perennial challenge is ensuring that our commitment to free expression and academic freedom remains intact. Another is articulating the fundamental value of this commitment for both our own community and the public we serve. For that reason, we have chosen to reaffirm our dedication to those essential academic values through this statement. Thank you, President Ono.
Thank you, Provost Macaulay. I would like to ask, if I can presume, whether Regent Bernstein would like to move to a vote.
Thank you, President. I would like to move that we adopt these principles and do so now.
Thank you. Can I ask for a seconder?
Second.
Thank you. The motion has been moved and seconded. I would like to call on Regent Bernstein if he would like to make any comments.
I would. Thank you, President. No, I appreciate it. I want to keep my comments as brief as possible, but I too want to share Tim Lynch's gratitude to the dozens of faculty, really hundreds of faculty, staff, administrators, and other stakeholders who participated in this enormously important effort. In particular, the Distinguished Faculty Committee, and of course, my colleagues on the board and in the Provost and President's office who helped shepherd this important work to this moment. Just a bit of history. I mean, many people have urged us over the years to sign on to or adopt the Chicago Principles, which were adopted by, as you referenced, President Ono, your alma mater, back in 2014, a very strident defense of freedom of expression and diversity of thought. But having done some of the research on this, it's quite clear that the University of Michigan made a crystal clear statement, a strident statement in defense of freedom of expression in 1977 by a Regent Brown, who's I can see whose son is now a colleague. I'm very proud to be a colleague of mine on the board. So I want to read it, and Paul, I hope I'm not stealing any of your thunder. But I do, and I may embarrass you in doing this, but I do want to read some of the words that were said back in 1977 when the University of Michigan addressed these very issues. So here I am now quoting Regent Brown from October of 1977 at a Board of Regents meeting, where he said, "Pressure to revoke an invitation for a speaker to appear at the university because of the potential for a violent reaction to the speech or the threat of disruption of the speech constitutes intellectual blackmail and cannot be tolerated. Likewise, the purposeful shunning of a controversial speaker of some merit solely because of his appearance may invite disruption or violence is contrary to the intellectual ideas of the university community and is a major concession to demagoguery." He went on, "Canceling, adjourning to another time or place, or allowing an extended interruption of a speech or meeting is tantamount to the complete denial of the right to speak, as well as the right of the audience to listen." And then finally, because freedom of speech plays such a critical role in the functioning of a university, interference with the exercise of this freedom by members of the university community is evidence of a blatant disregard for the spirit of free intellectual inquiry, and as such constitutes grounds for severe university disciplinary action. So today's principles that we are, they amplify, they reaffirm our commitment to diversity of thought and freedom of expression. I also want to say a few more things. First, it's important to, I think, appreciate where does this end up, where do these principles exist in the constellation of university rules and bylaws and SPGs? And I think it's essential to acknowledge that this is in many respects the North Star of our university that sits next to our mission statement as a statement of the principles and values of this extraordinarily important institution. And these principles declare unequivocally that cancel culture is dead at the University of Michigan. We are, for many different reasons, we are a public university with a long and proud history of robust engagement on issues of great societal consequence. Indeed, actively confronting the most controversial issues is a hallmark of our culture that we fully embrace and must protect and preserve, which we are doing so today. Every member of our academic community should expect to confront ideas that differ from their own, however uncomfortable these encounters may be. This can only occur when diversity of viewpoints exists and freedom of expression flourishes. And that is why I am so proud and grateful that we will be adopting these principles today.
Thank you very much, Regent Bernstein. I now call upon Regent Hubbard, who I understand would like to make a comment.
Thank you, President Ono. I just wanted to bring everyone's attention to a sentence in this policy I thought was incredibly important, which is where we say, we strive to meet conflict and controversy with understanding and reason, refuting our opponents rather than revoking invitations or refusing them a platform, and contesting their ideas instead of attacking their character. And to echo something Regent Bernstein mentioned, we're not in the business of canceling speakers, but rather are working towards encouraging balanced debate. This is the first step, and now we need to invite diverse thought leaders to our campus in order to fulfill the promise of this policy. And I look forward to working with everyone on that.
Thank you, Regent Hubbard. Regent Illich.
Yes, thank you, President Ono. I just want to add a couple thoughts. First, I just want to refer to General Counsel Lynch. He did an amazing amount of work on this, and thank him, as well as the faculty, the students, the alums. The input that we received was so thoughtful and wise and very, very helpful to this statement. I also want to acknowledge Regent Bernstein, who really helped to shepherd this. And I appreciate it very much, Mark, the work that you did on this. At the University of Michigan, we have a rich tradition of intellectual rigor and innovation. Free speech on campus is really a value of ours. It's our legacy, and it allows for a strong exchange of ideas and perspectives that drive our academic and personal growth. Free speech is at our core. Given our environment, I do want to highlight a sentence that is in the principles that I care very deeply about, and that is, our deep commitment to free expression does not extend to speech or conduct that violates the law or university policy, including targeted speech that constitutes bullying, defamation, destruction of property, discrimination, harassment, violence, or threats. And so I really look forward to a very healthy conversation that all can give input. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. I understand, Regent Weiser, do you have your hand raised?
I do. Can you hear me?
We can.
Yeah, I just wanted to emphasize three different sentences in this document. One is, it said, I wanted to emphasize, protesters are free to disagree but not disrupt the presentation. I mean, people need to be able to listen if they want to, and people who don't want to listen don't have any obligation to listen, obviously. And through that, learning to respect differences of opinion and belief, which is the second thing I wanted to emphasize. And the last one, quite frankly, being a conservative, that leads to stimulating and supporting diverse ideas and modeling constructive engagement with different viewpoints. I think it's really important that we realize that university is about talking to each other and understanding there's going to be differences of opinion and viewpoints on many, many subjects. But stopping talking and having those discussions is what leads to conflict. Thank you.
Thank you, Regent Weiser. I want to make sure that any regent that wishes to speak has a chance to. Are there any other regents who would like to speak?
Mr. President, I'd just like to make a comment real quickly.
Yes. Regent Hacker.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I want to just add by agreeing with all of my colleagues' comments, but add one quick thing. And I think this is important in light of what we're discussing here today and incidents we've seen at other universities involving free speech. that it's not just enough to allow groups, unpopular groups, to speak on campus, but is incumbent on all of us as leaders across the campuses, whether you're in Ann Arbor, whether you're in Dearborn, Flint, whether you're a department chair, to not just have the affirmative right to allow speech that differs from your own, but to encourage it and to make sure that we continue to allow it. And I just want to break it down in this way. Free speech isn't free speech until the last Nazi has had the right to speak. Free speech includes the right to learn and to engage on campus, even on topics that are unpopular. It also means that it has to intertwine with that academic freedom. And so I would just agree with what has been said before and challenge my colleagues and all of us as leaders across campus to make sure that we're continuing to engage not just on free speech, but also on academic freedom and the freedom to learn, even if the topic or subject is unpopular. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Regent Acker. Any other regents who would like to speak? All right, hearing none, we will now proceed to the vote. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Anyone
Aye.
opposed? Anyone opposed, say aye. Okay, the motion passes unanimously. I want to thank everyone for convening today for this very important, I think, historic vote. This is step one. The work will continue with the committee and with the work throughout the institution. And we will make sure that we message this very clearly, even before students, faculty members, and staff arrive at the institution. Once again, thank you so much. With that, the work of today's meeting is over and the meeting is adjourned.